Fresh trim. Hey, we'll praise the Abashim Yashar, bro.
Yeah, I needed it. I needed it.
Alright. We'll
The
praise
great.
the Most High Yahweh. Bashim Yashar, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. To the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Right, Shalom to the ancient men and women and men in this truth. Um, children in this truth that are fighting the temptations, the demons, the lust, enduring, right? Until Yahweh Shai returns, man. Right? So, Brother Kapash,
Brother Tazapar.
right, again, hey, we're back with another one, right? Doctrine defenders, man, right? And there's the topic is to do with marriage, separation, and divorce. Obviously we'll touch on adultery because it's all plays a key part in that. But hey, we gotta get into this. Like, it's not really a light marriage. You know, it's not a light matter. Nor is it something to be uh, ignorant of, man. So we don't be ignorant of anything. Really want to do our best to really break it down, man. Right, so we'll kick it off, man. So this is Sirach 5 and verse 15. It says, "Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or small." So we don't want to kind of just shut our eyes, you know, and use an emotional lens when it comes to dealing with certain topics like marriage, like separation, right? And what even is divorce according to the Bible, you know, because you don't really see how the world has, made the term divorce. People get divorces, you know. You could maybe later on in the video, maybe we'll go into it, and you could see how many people they divorce, you know. You were like King Henry. King Henry, man, he killed one wife and he divorced another, and then he done this, and then he married again, and even to the modern day, man. And that's the spirit. That's really the spirit of a Jake, innit? Only a Jake would do that. I don't see Edomites. You know, it's not really an Edomite thing to do, innit? But to get me, like,
Yeah.
I never seen because Edomite, he'll keep the wife there, and then he'll just find some, what's it, man? Like Boy George, man. They get these strange boys or men or whatever, because really that's that pedestry, that pedestry spirit they have. The young boys, and they'll go to the gymnasium, right, and they'll work out. That's what Esau would do. Jake. That's why I don't. But again, maybe at some point we're going into history and stuff like that. But point being, marriage, we can't be ignorant of it, right? We cannot be ignorant. It's not a light matter, right? Not at all is it a light matter, right? So let's go to Sirach chapter 7 and verse number. I'll start from 23. Sirach 7 and verse 23. It says, "Has thou children, instruct them, and bow down their neck from their youth." Right? Meaning what? If you bow down somebody's neck, doesn't mean you make them do this, man. Right? Really, it's obviously like a metaphoric sense for keeping them in check, man. You don't want to, you don't want to teach your children an evil thing against you. You know what I'm saying? Or your wife, even. Right? And if you bow down, they're in submission until you're saying. And again, especially because you're really as a priest in your household, as a man, or even as a mother or righteous woman, you want to be going according to what the scriptures are saying, and not your carnal mind that we have imputed into us. So it says, reading on, it says, "Hast thou daughters, have care of their body, and show not thyself cheerful to them." Meaning, you just kind of got to be real. You can't be your body. You got people. Yeah, I know these Edomites, man. Right, even in the world, even Eve's, whatever nation, and they'll smoke cigarettes together with their moms and their dads. They drink vodka with their moms and their dads in the front room. Right, you don't want to have that kind of relationship where now it's almost your daughter, you know what I'm saying, is like, you know like it says in First Ezra, man, and you gotta be, like I said, show thyself not cheerful toward them. Doesn't mean you can't smile at them. You just have to give them a you gotta have care of their body, meaning you gotta show them really the reality of what this world is, how evil it is, how evil men are, because some men, they don't want to be accountable to what the scripture says, right? So you have to be real with them, and that's why you bow down their neck from thy youth, right? Reading on, it says, "Marry thy daughter, and so shall thou have performed a weighty matter, but give her to a man of understanding." So marriage is a weighty matter, right? What does it mean if something is a weighty matter? Does it mean, okay, it weighs 6,000, right? 6,000 cubits, right? That's length, though, right? But talents, right? A weighty matter is a serious is an issue. So like it is a phrase that means an issue is serious, important, and needs careful thought. So and look, it says topics like the laws and the laws of the Most High. That is a weighty matter. So you want to give your daughter, right, or even a man as yourself. You don't want to give yourself over. It says don't give yourself over to a light woman. I believe it says. I think that's the precept. I think it is.
Mm.
Verse 26. Hast thou a wife after thy mind? Forsake her not, but give not thyself over to a light woman. Does that mean, okay, yeah, brother say, okay, my woman, she weighs, I don't know, 70 kg, right? That's quite big. I don't know if that's quite big. I don't know, right? But 70 kg, okay, my woman, okay, she's 30 kg. She's 30 kg and she's 40. That doesn't really add up, but it's not saying a literal light woman. When it means a light woman, it's talking about someone that's simple, right? And simple as in dumb, right? Don't give yourself over to a light woman. She isn't got, she ain't got the spirit, man. Because we don't. It's not about the looks. It's about your spirit, right? And likewise, men, you have to be a man of understanding, right? But Khan, you got it, King.
Yeah, and this is a serious, serious matter. Still, this is a serious matter. Can you go to the next verse as well, if you could carry on? Verse 27. It says, "Honor thy father with thy whole heart, and forget not the sorrows of thy mother." Verse 28. It says, "Remember that thou was begot of them, and how canst thou recompense them for the things they have done for thee?" So, and again, remember, this is where we hear all this, where we're meant to be taught is by our parents. So, and again, marriage, our mum and dad came together. That's the marriage. So we have to learn from them. Obviously, um, in the truth, it's different because you know there's some sort of moral understanding of how these laws are to be, because like it says there, if you've got a daughter, you have to marry her to a man of understanding. That's keeping the law. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, can we get Genesis chapter 3 and verse 16, like going back to the beginning. So this is Genesis 3 and 16, and it reads, "Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee." And when it's saying rule, can you look up that word rule, Baba Kashar? Because like that's Esau, and he'll get a bit he'll get a bit excited with that word, like ruling and that, because that's what they do. They like to conquer and rule. But it says there, what a principle or maxim governing conduct, formula to which conduct must be conformed. Yeah, so it's like you know a way. a standard that basically. But what else is it? Can you zoom in, Baba Kashar? Because it even says, so it says related to regard to rule, straighten, and guide. To guide. So when you ruling over, when the husband's ruling over the wife, he's a guide. You know what I'm saying? It's like it also means to govern as well. So like it's not just your wife that you'll be ruling. You'll be ruling over your household. Same. So can you get me now Esther 1 and verse 20? Well, Kasha, Esther chapter 1 and verse 20. And it reads, says, and when the king's decree which he shall make shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small. Yeah. Verse 21. And the saying pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan. So, just a brief on what's happening here. So the king's wife, the queen Vashti, he asked for her to come. He called for her to come by his chamber maids or chamberlains, sorry, and he refused. So verse 22, it says, "For he sent letters into all the king's provinces, into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people." Now, this was the heathens now saying this. This was the heathens saying about rule. But remember, we already had that. These were laws that we already kept as a nation. You know, and if you can, if Baba Kushar, go to verse 17, uh, 1 and verse 17. The water says, "For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes. And when it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not." So this is an example, this is an example of, you know, a wife not listening to her husband and not letting him, and him not having rule over his household, for the fact that she told him, "No, I'm not coming." So these are all accounts that we should really be, you know going over to understand really what marriage is actually about. And last one, can you get me I believe it's Hebrews. Is it Hebrews 13? I believe it's 4. Hebrews 13 and 4. It says, "Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge." So, yeah, marriage is an honorable thing, like when two people come together, and this is a man and a woman, like it says in Genesis. It's not talking about, you know, what the, what Esau and this Western society is pushing these days. He's talking about a man and a woman. That's an honorable thing, when they come together, you know. But yeah, you got it, King.
Karma. And it's just, both to men, like brothers and sisters. You don't want to, like the Most High said, um, in the scriptures, by the hand of Paul, right? That marriage is an honorable thing, and if it's to be honorable, right? Let's get that, the word honorable. It says worthy of, let's see, respectable, respectful, worthy of respect or reverence, right? Ensuring good repute of honor, right? Honest, sincere, good in faith. So if you're married, you know, you gotta be marriage has to be honorable. You know, you're not just because and the bed, see that, and the bed on the no man can put that asunder. The only way that it can be put asunder is from sin, right? Or your husband be dead, right? That's why like it said, hey, it's a weighty matter. Marriage isn't some just it's just some like some kind of like it's some damn hip hop, love and hip hop, man, or some kind of club, right? Everyone, because in the club, you've been in the clubs, man. Everyone passes and the next woman onto this woman, this guy he was with, and obviously a man can have multiple wives. We've done the breakdown on it, right? A man, he kind of he's here dealing with this woman, and then he kind of she kind of smells. Alright, and then going to this woman, and then going to this and this. That's off. You know, the spirit behind it, because there's no accountability, and that's why really you aren't in this truth. You gotta get into it. Alright, this is Second Ezra 15:2. It says, "And cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true." So that's talking about the word. The word's faithful and true, but you're gonna manipulate the word and say, okay, no, I can separate. I found the precepts. Yeah, but people are redone. Verse 3: "Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them." And incredulity is that somebody that changes, right? I believe it is, right? What's it? No, see that? Let me see. Right, change. Let me see. Credulity. Maybe see. See that? Maybe it might be. No, I might be thinking of the wrong word, but we will get. So incredulity means disbelief, doubt, or the state of being unable to accept something that is true, right? So people that are, again, disbelief. Don't fear the disbelief of them that trouble thee, that speak against thee, right? So we don't fear those things. You don't fear man. The Most High created man. Why would we fear something that the Most High created? Right? That's why it says in Luke 12, don't fear, the man that can kill you. He can kill your body. Fear the Most High, because he can put your soul in a blender. Right? Verse 4. It says, "For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness." And you know these Rihanna songs, man. Right? Faithful. Right? Rihanna, she got that song, man, called Unfaithful or something. Unfaithful. Right? You see that? Right? Still. Right? And in this song, I think she's talking about, see that? She's in some, and that's why these artists, they're going off, in a love triangle. She struggles between her romantic interest and her lover, and regrets having cheated on her former. So, you know, people sing this, man, right? Some love triangle. Should be no love triangles in the truth. You don't come, she's, and when you see the full lyrics, you know, right? And I know that he knows I'm unfaithful, and it kills him inside to know that I'm happy with some other guy. You see that?
Yeah, madness, madness. Yeah, mad.
See that? Look, see? And that's the spirit. See, in the truth, man, you damn sneaking around your missus asking you, oh, where are you? Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm just at camp. You're just saying I'm at camp. Right? These times, it's a damn Tuesday. Right? It's a Tuesday saying I am at camp. Brothers don't be there. I don't remember us ever holding camp on a Tuesday. Right? So, it's Tuesday night. It's overtime. We're going overtime. Brothers bringing it out mighty. Right? Look what she says. A kiss upon my cheek as he reluctantly asks if I'm gonna be out late. I say I won't be long, just hanging with the girls. A lie I didn't have to tell. You see that? Because we know, see that? And you're a simp. You're a simp. You stay with a woman. You stay with a woman that cheats on. And again, that commits fornication. That's adultery.
Mm.
That goes and lays down with another man, right? That's adultery. That's madness, right? Maybe a woman, she goes and lays down with a woman. That's off. That's completely off, right? She said because we both know where I'm about to go, and we know it very well. You see that? Because he knows that I'm unfaithful and it kills him. See, and then so if you're unfaithful, right? Point being, you're gonna die in your unfaithfulness, man. Right? That's why the Most High marriage is supposed to be hey man. Most High didn't make man to just be a damn some homosexual in the wilderness. Right? Obviously, you have Christ told us about the different types of eunuchs. You have literal eunuchs, men that are made eunuchs for the the kingdom, right? You have men that are eunuchs, man, right? But like it says in Genesis 2 and verse, and we done the breakdown on this, right? You can it's on the channel going into the bone in my bone, right? This is Genesis 2 and I'll put 18. It says, and the Lord said, it's just like it, Genesis 2 and 18. And the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make an helpmeet for him. So your wife, you should look at your wife as a helpmeet, right? You should look at your wife as really, she like your spine, man, your backbone. You know, a woman that's like it says in Genesis 3 and 16. She's gonna be able to help you in times of when you're down. She's gonna boost your ego, boost your morale, your strength, push you, and sometimes she's gonna rebuke you, man. But does it mean she's down standing? You come home, you come home, she's standing there lined up with two other sisters, and you're in your kitchen, and she's telling you, she's banging on stuff, she says Salaki, and she's down bringing out the precepts. She said, hold on, Salaki, give me the book of, and the sisters are cutting you up. Well, obviously she ain't gonna do that, but she's supposed to be a help me. She's gonna tell you, hey, hey, look, she might call you my lord, or, whatever she calls you, right? Sweet honey bun, right? And she might tell you in a meek and what's the word? Meek and humble manner, and with humility. That's what your wife will tell you. Kind of tell you, hey, you sure about that? I don't think you should have done so. That's how a woman's gonna tell you. So a woman is really a help for the man.
That's right.
But does it mean now she's a help me? Now you're telling her, hey, you damn turning it into that damn the Issacharite on damn Zach and Cody, and you're telling her, yep, bring my Bible, bring me my Bible, right? And you gotta kind of chill out, man. You don't want to be don't be a lion in the household. The woman, you're just using your woman for your own pleasure to get you. I need this Bible. Give me the Bible. Right. This is Sirach 4, and I'll start from verse number 20. 28. Right. 30. See that? Sirach 4 and 30. Be not as a lion in thy house, nor frantic among thy servants. So you can't be a lion. If you're a lion in the house, it means you just have wrath. You don't know how to really exercise compassion. You got to learn how to exercise that compassion. Likewise, women. And this is for the women as well. And no women, maybe we're going to do a breakdown on the men, right? And then on the women as well, right? Women say, no, I'm not watching that one. I don't want to watch that one, right? But we got to kind of get into that. We don't want to have that spirit. And this applies to both. Don't be that wife. Your husband come home from work and you're just, what time do you call this? This guy probably worked some, I know brothers, they work some crazy shifts, man. Right? They wake up, they go to work when brothers are going to sleep. And then do the same thing over and over again. Imagine you come home, you work yourself off, and you come home to someone being a lion towards you, let alone a man being a lion, a woman being wrathful. Oh, why don't you do anything? This guy's probably tired. Likewise, with your wife, maybe she might work. She probably tired. So you have to exercise. I get one more and I pass it. Go exercise that spirit of compassion and not having hate, malice. You shouldn't have hate towards you. If you have hate towards a woman, you're completely off. You don't want to look after a woman, you're completely off. You don't want to be accountable to your husband, you're completely off. That's plain and simple. You don't want to, because really that's loving your neighbor as yourself. Oh no, I'm not gonna speak to him. I'm gonna deny him because maybe you're. And then we have to be mature in this conversation. Your husband saying I want to lay down, and you're saying no, 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 and you're doing this. No, 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 no. You didn't do. It's off. It's off. It's off spirit to have. I'm not laying down with him. No, no. You're telling you now. You're going in a group chat. Did anyone, I don't know, some gossip madness, man. You can't deny each other, man, right? But except it be for a season or a reason. Maybe you're fasting, it's day of atonement, or you're leading up to he's fasting, he's got an important whatever. You kind of, you got to talk about that, right? But this is, I'll read a few, right, and then I'll pass it. This is First Kings, First Peter 3 and verse 6. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, right? Sisters, oh no, 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 no. Start closing their eyes at certain verses, man. Right? So Sarah obeyed Abraham. Does this mean Abraham? And Abraham, Isaac, Isaac sported with his wife, right? So he wasn't some lion telling her yes, telling her what he had to say to her, right? Calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well, and are not afraid of any amazement. So you don't be what's the word, man? Impressionable, right? Well, especially with these other nations, man. But you want to really obey your husband, and that's the law. Like we read in Genesis 3:16, verse 7. Likewise, ye husbands, so the men now, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as the weaker vessel. Yeah, your woman's weaker than you, right? No, you got some women they wanna wear the pants, spiritually and literally. Women naturally, and again, hey, look, I'll say this, man. Hey, when it comes to certain things, hey, I don't know nothing about it. Right? My woman, she's good at, certain things, man. Right? Numbers and, laws or whatever. Me, I'm a Google search. You know, you know, you know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Like, what does it say about? Oh yeah, that's or numbers or planning stuff. You know, I'll just be just about figuring it out. You know, and you like it says, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the weaker vessel, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. So you not giving honor to your wife, knowing that you're heirs together, right? She can make it just as much as you can make it. My wife, she ain't gonna make it unless she leads me. Hey, you might be wicked as hell, man. Right? You say, oh, my wife's not gonna make it. My wife's not gonna make it unless I make it first, and then she's gonna make it behind me. Right? That your prayers be not hindered. Verse 8. Finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another, love as brethren, be pitiful and be courteous. So, if you're courteous, right, I searched these two words. If you have pity on someone, you can understand and see when somebody's tired. So sometimes I can see my mom is tired, or whatever. Likewise, she won't even ask me to, what I'm saying? The ones your woman won't even ask you to do nothing because she can just see. Likewise, on your end, you can probably tell, okay, I'll look after the kids or I'll do this or whatever, because you can see she's obviously tired. You want to have that spirit, man. You've still got incredulity, right? Damn, courteous. Alright, let's see what that word means. Right, so it says, having elegant manners. See that? Gracious. If you have grace towards somebody, right? You have grace, meaning you're not just gonna. There's a time and a place for everything. Man. There's no need to always be that lion. There's obviously times when you might need that, but you know, have discernment, man. But you got it, King.
Yeah, calm. And you know when you was going into that whole the Rihanna thing, it's like it kind of made me think of that guy. I forgot his name. I forgot his name. The one that sang that song that I don't want to know. You know, if you're playing me, I don't keep it on the low and all that. You know, this is the madness that these lot are promoting. You know, now you've got a
Mario.
brother.
Mario.
Yeah, talking about he don't want to know if his missus is going off like just the same with that you know Rihanna vibe. It's like this is the stuff they're pushing, man. And listen, these songs have got millions and millions of views. Like Rihanna's probably got like 100 million on hers. Do you know what I'm saying? And this is the stuff that people are listening to, man. So yeah, I want to go to First Ezra's chapter 4. First Ezra's chapter 4, and I'll start at 20. First Ezra's 4 and verse 20. It says, "A man leaveth his own father that brought him up, and his own country, and cleaveth unto his wife." So that's what really that marriage that's honorable does. Like it says in Genesis, where it says a man shall leave his, I think it's in Genesis 2, a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife. That's the normal. So verse 21, it says, he sticks not to spend his life with his wife and remembereth neither father nor mother nor country. And that's the spirit. Really, you want to be in that spirit, not to leave and not remember your father and that, but that's you being joined perfectly together. When it comes down to go on. You're on mute, king. You're on mute, king.
Salakia.
Go
So
on.
just quickly, just to add on to your point, it says
Go on.
how it reads in it. It says, "A man departs this life with his wife with no memory of his father or mother or country." So, come just to kind of.
Yeah. So, and that's really what we want to be like, really. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's the love that you should have for your wife or the wife or the husband. The fact that you don't just forget everything, but it's like that's what you become joined now as one, you know? And then if you can skip to um, verse 25, Baba Kashar. Verse 25. Yeah, skip to verse 25, Baba Kashar. It says, "Wherefore a man loveth his wife better than father and mother." Verse 26, it says, "Yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for women and become servants for their sakes." So that's not the spirit to be in.
Oh,
That's like that Mario guy that's singing there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he's putting the woman on a pedestal, and he's become servants for their sake. You know, and that's not what you go on. You got it, King. You got it, King.
just quick, yeah, because you said about the Mario thing.
Go on.
Like say, this is simp behavior, right?
Mm.
There was some kind of some sort of magic that they had sprinkled on these guys back in these 2000s era, man. He said somebody said they saw you. The
Mad.
person you were missing wasn't me, and I would never ask you. I just kept it to myself. You see that? But you got it.
And bro, listen, how big these songs are, like, and they play on the radio even still today. You know what I'm saying? It's like subconsciously just getting into your head. Even like that whole Rihanna thing. It's like, do you know what I mean? And now you got women acting like Queen Vashti. You know what I'm saying? So, and then what's it? The next verse as well, 27, verse 27. It says, "Many also have perished and have erred and sinned for women. You know what I'm saying? So this is what what women can do to you, man. Women can cause you to go out of go out of your way, man. This is for men. The same thing for women too. You know what I'm saying? There's been many cases, you've heard it on the news and all that women doing the madness for the guy, or he's seeing another guy, and then like that cheaters vibe. The cheater. There was a program, on in America, like with cheaters. You know what I'm saying? That's this is not the spirit we need to be in. And if you can get me Sirach 26 and 14. Sirach 26 and 14. Sirach 26 and verse 14. Or I'll start at 13. I'll start at 13. It says, the grace of a wife delighteth her husband, and her discretion will fat his bones. So you know the grace of a wife. What I'm saying, that's the delight to a husband. When a husband gets in, sees the smile. Dinner's being cooked. Like, that's beautiful. What I'm saying, that's a beautiful a wife. And beautiful marriage in that sense. Verse 14, it says, a silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there's nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. Going back to that, Peter, First Peter, you want to be um, on one accord. You know what I'm saying? One accord, and silent as well. Don't mean like, now the Muslims are going to take it, say, yeah, look, see, says your women can't speak. Women has to be silent. Like in Corinthians as well. I believe, what was it? First Corinthians
Mm.
14 something, I believe. Where it says, let the women learn in silence. Like they can't speak. That's not the spirit is talking about here. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, a silent loving woman, because you don't want a Rihanna. You know what I'm saying? Like a bad beat. That's what they say nowadays. You don't want a Rihanna or a Queen Vashti who's gonna talk back to you, and like she's gonna want to do her own thing. Verse Yeah, if you can carry on. Verse 15, Baba Bashar, it says, a shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace, and her continent mind cannot be valued. So there's, it's going back to, um, a righteous woman is worth more than rubies, paraphrasing. I'm not sure where that precept is, but verse 16 verse 16, it says, as the sun when it ariseth in the high heaven, so is the beauty of a good wife in the ordering of her house. you know so just how the sun rises when a woman has her house in order, when the husband is at work, bringing in the bread, as they would say. That's a beautiful thing, man. And one more, if you can get me no, two more, slack it out. Sirach 25 and 1. Sirach 25 and 1. Yeah. Sirach 25 and verse 1. It says, in three things I was beautified and stood up beautiful, both before God and men, the unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, a man and a wife that agreed together. So the Most High counts that as a beautiful thing, that a man and a woman can actually agree on something. And it doesn't mean that the woman don't have a say, because she's meant to be a helpmeet. you know she can't just she's not just gonna sit there and not have no input whatsoever. Do you know what I'm saying? In the household, that's not how it works. you know but yeah, you got it, King. You got it.
I'm just gonna get that preset for you. I think you're saying, and you can break it down. Proverbs. You can break it down. Proverbs 31:10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies.
So it's showing you that like a virtuous a woman is a rarity. You know, it's like a diamond in the dirt, as they would say, a diamond in the dirt. It's hard, man. You know, there's not many, but like it says in Sirach, when you find that one, you know what I'm saying, and she's got the same mindset as you, then you don't forget her, man. Don't forget her. You wanna look after her and treat her like that ruby that it says. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, go on, you got it.
Can't and you know when we yeah, let's get precept. Look, this is Second Peter chapter 3 and verse 16, yeah, or 15 rather. Because hey man, when you can't manipulate the scriptures, yeah, to I've seen so-called mighty men try and say they can use certain verses to say that I can divorce you because they don't want to be accountable. But when you was getting your rocks off, and enjoying, you know, laying down with whatever woman, you wasn't talking of you, and you knew the precepts. Oh no, I didn't know. I didn't. You knew. Can't be with someone for 2 years, three, four, five. Oh, I didn't know. All right. This is all right. Just a quick precept, all right? Because look, you can't just lay. Because look, this is Wisdom of Solomon 3 and verse 2, right? Wisdom of Solomon 7:2. Sorry. And in my mother's womb was fashioned to be flesh in the time of 10 months, being compacted in blood of the seed of man, and the pleasure that came with sleep. And the pleasure that it's talking about is when a man, like it says, it knew his wife or he knew her, right? In certain contexts, right? Meaning what the pleasures that come with sleep, that's laying down. Can't just have that pleasure of laying down with the daughter of Zion, right? Or with, as a woman, you lay down with a righteous man, and remember, a man can fall short. You can't just hop ship because he stopped. All those that are unfaithful, they're gonna die in their unfaithfulness. Saying, why are you saying that? That's mean. That's the precepts. You can't. If you're faithful, you remain loyal to something, to somebody. You can't just okay. You freaked off, right? I don't know, right? And you can go watch the live, right, on the WFI main channel. You know, I didn't know sex was marriage. Yeah, that would tell you. That's another breakdown. People say use certain verses. You lay down with a woman, right? And we'll get into it, right? Can't lay down with a woman or lay down with a man. Things start going wrong, and you just jump and ship, right? And say, okay, he didn't tell me this. He didn't this. Hey, you're still accountable to that. You're still accountable to the act. You say, oh nah, it was not marriage. So, and if we were carnal, anyone in the truth, everyone would start using their damn top trump cards, Uno reverse cards, right? Take 5 steps, leave your partner card, their block number card, I'm no longer married card. Hey, we're gonna get into the precepts. This is 2 Peter 3 and 16, and that's why it's not a light matter. As also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood. So something, it shouldn't be it shouldn't be a hard thing to understand, especially those that you've been in the truth, what marriage is and isn't. Right? When they are unlearned, it's like which they that are unlearned and unstable rest as they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction. Some people want to be willfully ignorant of some verses and say, no, 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 no. And obviously, everyone's been there. You grow in the truth. You get to the point where the more you grow in the truth, the more sincere you should become to the scriptures. If you start leaning on your own understanding, you're saying, oh, well, I got a breakdown. I remember one sister, she was saying, oh, I got precepts that can show why I'm not married. Right? And the Lord willing will cover those angles that people try to wrestle with their own destruction. Right? This is Exodus 22 and verse, and this is just one way, right? Because again, even at Watchmen for Israel, we always advise that, brothers, and you go and you speak to the woman's father. Don't just I just lay down with her, right? Oh yeah, here's my. You just turn up to camp, some stranger. Yeah, here's my wife. How did you meet? Oh yeah, we met. She met online. We met online. You done lay down with some strange woman, and then now she's your wife. And you didn't prove her. You didn't test it out, and when I say test it out, fully, like as in the whole point of courting. Right, you so excited, right? You want to, like the women say in the world, oh, I want to see what you're really about, right? I want to see this and I want to see that, right? But I don't want to open a Bible. Remember one sister, she was from another congregation. And then she came to our congregation. She was saying, man, hey man, what they say, man? She was saying something like, legs closed, Bibles open, right? That's what it should be about, man. Right? Everyone wants to have, like says in Wisdom of Solomon, that pleasure that comes with sleep, but then don't want to face the accountability that comes with those decisions, man. That's why this whole marriage is not a light matter, man. Like we have some younger sisters, right? Nephews, nieces. Maybe because a lot of the time, especially the sisters, you don't want to be deceived, man, right? Especially with sisters, especially sisters that are in the truth, especially in WFI, right? You don't want to be beguiled by some random guy from over there, some strange man, right? So this is Exodus 22 and 16, and this is just another route if a man doesn't go to the father, right? And a man never bowed down and got on one knee and says, oh, okay, here's a ring, and do you like it, right? And he done that, and he opened up some damn box that he spent how much are these rings these days, man? Right? I don't know, man. They got a big diamond on it. Is it real? Is it moissanite? Right? Right, is it moissanite? Is it this? Did the kids from Congo, did they mine this one? Right? It says, Exodus 22 and 16, it says, if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed, because you couldn't go to a woman that's betrothed. She's basically put on pause, if that makes sense. And just the analogy, she's not dealing with anyone, but she has somebody that she's talking to. Right? But in this case, she's not betrothed. And lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. Right? If you endow somebody, it means you're paying a dowry. Right? Provide an income for. So if you endow her to be your wife, or endeavor, right? Like it says from in is in, and endow, right? To bestow, or it says portion, a marriage portion. So if you endow her to be your wife, you give her a portion, right? You give her father a portion, right? So that's showing you why are you giving her that? Because that's a covenant that's been made, right? People saying, no, I'm not married, I didn't able. That's the precept, and that's, oh well, I can get out of it. There's no like twanging the scriptures to just fit what you think. And if your husband said, okay, well, we're not married, that's Satan. That's not the Most High. right? And obviously, the Most High obviously uses Satan, right? And that's how your mind is being used. But that is, that's Satan, in it. When your husband's sitting, imagine I come to my house, I tell my wife, yeah, we're no longer married. But the whole time we've been married, we've been laying down, we've been going to the cinema, and now I just tell her, no, you're not married. We're not married. That's Satan, right? So you'd have to pay the father a dowry. And let's see, 'cause people might say, okay, hold on. Verse 17. It says, if her father utterly refused to give her unto him, what does this mean? Does it mean, okay, let's say, Talpa, he has a daughter, she's of age to be married, you know, and then, he says, no, 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 no. He can't say that, right? Really, the refusing, really, it's not necessarily saying that because that's still your woman because you've laid down with her, right? It says, if her father utterly refused to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. So he might say, let's say Tazbar says to, I don't know, brother, brother Gad, right? Brother Gad, he laid down with, his daughter of age, and then he says, no, 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 right? The refusal to give is because of really the payment. That's what it's really going on to. It's not saying that the father can just nullify the marriage. He can't say no, 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 no. They ain't getting married. He still laid down with her. That guy, brother Gad, he still laid down with said woman. That's still his wife. When it says about the refusal to give her unto him, it's really going into him paying to even working to get that woman, man, right? And we'll go to that as well. I've got a few. I'll get one more and I'll pass it. Right, Matthew 19:6. Matthew chapter 19 of verse 6. And again, she's not talking about a man just having one wife. We've dealt with it before. It says Matthew 19:6. Wherefore there are no more twain, but one flesh. So a man may get married to one woman. Jacob had 4 women, right, as his wives. Some people in Israel, they find that hard to believe. They say, no, it was for that time. Jacob, he's, King David, they're different. Solomon, he's different. All these people, everyone's different. Everyone's different, but they're keeping the law, were they not? But, right, we digress. So a man, whether he has how many women he has, those women that he's joined onto, they become one flesh. You don't just have one rib, right? In simple terms. But what therefore Yahweh have joined together, let not man put asunder. So the father could just say no, right? He can't refuse that because the man has still laid down, right? He would still have to give, he would have, he really predicate, or he would literally dictate how it would go for him, for that a son, or that boy, or whatever, the man, to get that woman as a wife, right? And I'll get one more example and then I'll pass it to you, right? Let's go to the book of, let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 33, I think. See that? No, it might be earlier. It might be earlier. Right, let's go maybe 30. Right, because didn't Jacob have to work 7 years, man? Right, to get this this woman, right, with Rebecca and Rachel, man. Right. Let me type it in. 7 years. Now they say no, it's not there. Slovakia. Oh, my goodness.
I think it is in 29.
Oh, towards the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Water King. So this is Genesis 29 and 27. Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou served with me, yet 7 other years. So that's how we got to get. I believe this is going into Rachel, right? Because he, like it says in 25, and it came to pass in the morning, behold, it was Leah, because he didn't want Leah, right? And he said to Laban, what is this thou hast done unto me? Did I not serve thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? Right?
Mm.
Because he wanted Rachel. Right? Because I think so that Leah had like a lazy eye. I think it was. Right? But he wanted Rachel. So the father couldn't just nullify that. Right? He dictated how that would go. Because again, like Christ said, and everyone believes in Christ, right? And Christ condones the act of multiple wives. But what he doesn't condone is a man that separates from his woman, right? And again, right, I'll read this in this same last chapter and I'll pass it. So this
Yeah,
is,
good, good.
all right, come on. So this is Matthew 19 and 8. So the point is about separation. There, and this is divorce. This quote unquote separation is divorce, right? The only way that you can divorce from your woman is if she commits fornication, adultery, some homosexual demonic act, right? Which is fornication is an umbrella term. Matthew 19 and 8, he saith unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your heart, suffered you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. So in the beginning, that's how you know this is not talking about multiple wives, it's talking about putting away your wives. But again, people don't read in context, right? But from the beginning, it was not so. Because in the beginning, right, so Jacob had multiple wives, Abraham had multiple wives. These were righteous men, were they not? Right? But it's about putting away your wife. It says, verse 9, and I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife. So context, it's about, this is really quoting Deuteronomy 24. Whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall, so let's say, and shall marry another, and committeth adultery, and whosoever marrieth her which is put away doeth commit adultery. So you can't just say, okay, I'm no longer married to this woman, and then because I don't know, she, and that's what they were doing in the time of Moses. You give her a bit of divorce because maybe she burnt your chicken, right? You'd give her a bit of divorce, but Christ is saying, look, he's clarifying the point that the only way that you can separate, and when we say separate is divorce, is if your woman commits fornication. Okay, she didn't commit fornication, I'm gonna put her away, I don't want to talk to her. That you're being emotional. You wasn't being emotional when you was laying down with her, when you was down, late night freak off. You wasn't, now you kind of, it's turmoil and it's getting a bit heated. And I say, nah, don't do it. That's emotional. You have to be accountable to the scriptures, and that's what, by marriage, right? That's why this is in the law, right? But, look at this, verse 10. His disciples said unto him, if the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry, right? The kind of, right? It's funny, man. It says, but he said unto them, all men cannot receive this saying, save they to whom it is given. So it's not for every man, because there's different types of people that are, eunuchs, right? And I'll read that as well. So it's not for everyone. Even marriage is not for everyone. People desire to, marriage, can take a lot away from you. Time, energy, you might, like it says in 1 Corinthians, I believe, and about the deacons and the bishops and Timothy, right? I told you they don't really have time because they focus on pleasing their woman, pleasing their their wife, so they're more invested really in terms of kind of worldly things, man. Right? Verse 12, for there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb. So some eunuchs that were born like weren't able, maybe they're barren, maybe they're not able to have children, and there are some eunuchs which are made eunuchs of men Like, you watch in like Game of Thrones, you have like the Unsullied. Those men, they damn castrated them. That's what the Arabs done to you so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, some Indians. But he's still choosing to, okay, I'm gonna follow Ishmael's religion, or the Ishmaelite religion, right? They made them eunuchs, and then it says, and they be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sakes. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. So, like Paul, he's a eunuch for the kingdom of heaven's sake,
Mm.
right? But Kanye, you got it, King.
Yeah, that's a very mighty point still, because like you were saying, if you're making yourself a unit for the kingdom of heaven's sake, then that means you've got more time to like focus on the most high, and to give him your all, because there's a lot of like accounts as well in the Bible, like where even you know sisters being like widows, and that, and how they have to go about certain way, and how they have to be in order to keep keep that spirit going, because when it says, but let me get the what is it, First Corinthians, is it 7, I believe it's First Corinthians 7. uh um No, was it Romans? I think it's Romans 7.
Yeah, Romans 7:1.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Can't, Bible Shah. Romans 7 and verse 1. It says, "Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law have dominion over a man as long as he liveth." So, that law of marriage is like they say in when you get married, till in the vows, till death do us part.
Right.
Because that's what will, a man dying would make a widow, and a woman dying, obviously it's not the same, but a man can have more than one wife anyway, you know. So let me get Matthew, so Matthew 5 and verse 31.
So, Laka, you can read on,
Yeah, go on, read on then, read on. Romans 7 and 2 says, "For the woman which have had an husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth, but if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her husband." So yeah, the only way that a woman can be loosed from the law is if he dies, you know, and that's pretty plain. Like, there's not really, you don't really need an in-depth breakdown in that, like it's literally, if if the husband dies, then that's. So go to verse 3 as well, Baba Shah. Verse 3. It says, "So then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from that law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man." So if that man's still alive, and she goes and bees with another man, then she would be an adulteress,
Right.
you know? And that's pretty plain as well, you know? Is there any more on that? Yeah, that's it, King. So yeah, if you can go to Matthew 5 and verse 31, Baba Krishna. Matthew 5 and verse 31. It says, "It have been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorce." Going back to, like the brother said, Deuteronomy 24. Verse 32, it says, "But I say unto you, that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery, and whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committeth adultery." So if this woman hasn't committed fornication, any sort of fornication, then really there's no way that a man can actually put away his wife.
Right.
It's only for that cause, you know. And like, yeah, you go your way, I go my way, innit? Like that in the world sort of, but that can't run, because now you're causing her to commit adultery, and with whoever that she lays with, or whoever she goes with. And if you can get me Leviticus 20 and verse 10, Leviticus 20 and verse 10. So this is Leviticus 20 and verse 10, and it reads, "And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbour's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death." So this was a very serious matter, man. This was a put to death matter. Just like the Sabbath day, just like blaspheming the Most High, and His name. So this is very serious. And this was the punishment for adultery, before Christ came on the scene. So, like, a lot of people say about, Christ, he changed it. He didn't really change it. He still kept the same law, but all he was saying is that you can only put away your wife if she fornicated, or if she has committed some sort of fornication. That was the only way that you would be able to put away your wife. You got some?
Yeah, just a quick point. Christ,
Well,
like, he just expounded, like you said, he just expounded on, because the point of it was that Christ, the groups of the Pharisees, they had different, just like today, you have different camps, different understandings. Christ came and said, look, the only way, for, like you said, is if the woman commits fornication. That's the only way, and that's why he says from the beginning it was not so. So it wasn't the original, um, and obviously that was the spirit at that time,
mm,
right? For it to be that a man could do that, but then even there were stipulations on the woman. She couldn't go back to the previous husband before that, you know.
yeah,
So there
yeah,
was
can't.
stipulations on that anyway. So Christ just expounded. Look, hey, this is how you put. If she does this, then X, Y, Z. You know, calm you go.
Yeah, can't. And just to touch on that as well, Jeremiah 3 and verse 1. Is Jeremiah 3 and verse 1, and it reads, they say, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him, and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, saith the Lord. So yeah, man, if a woman goes off and lays with another man, then it's showing you here that she's been greatly polluted. She's played the whore, like, which, the harlot basically, and that would be committing a fornication. You know what I'm saying? And let me get one more as well on that. Judges 19,
Right, 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 right,
Judges 19,
right.
because this is like it's a very deep account, but you can take something from this still, man. You can always take something from something. Then now I'll start at one. uh, Judges 19 and verse 1. Yeah, it says, "And it came to pass in those days there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levi sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah." And the Levites, they were meant to only take virgins. So, do you know what I'm saying? A Levite would only take another Levite as well, actually, you know? Or that, no, Salaki, that was the priests, in it, Aaron's daughters, I believe.
I can get that quickly.
Yeah, go on, calm, the water.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 21, and verse number. Let's see. Leviticus 21, and I'll start from verse 13. And he shall take. So this, I'll start from 1. Leviticus 21 and 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, speak unto the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say unto them, there shall none be defiled for the dead among his people. Alright? I'll jump to verse number 20, verse 13. And he shall take a wife in her virginity, a widow or a divorced woman, or profane or an harlot.
Mm.
These shall he not take, but he shall take a virgin of his own people to wife, neither shall he profane his seed among his people, for I the Lord do sanctify him.
Yeah, can't. So that's Aaron. Is that Aaron's son or is that the Levites?
So let me put it on the screen. Right,
Yeah,
just can you
can't.
see? Right, Leviticus 21. So look, it says Leviticus 21 and 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, speak unto the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say unto them, there shall, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the sons of Aaron, but even still, that's the same. Like you know what I mean. The Levites, the were the priests as well. So there's a obviously, they had to do the daily sacrifices. They had to be around the temple. They did the temple work, innit? So and remember, if your daughter she wasn't married, she would be under the father's household, so she would eat of the sacrifice, just like Aaron's daughters as well. Same with the priests. So yeah, Judges 19 and 1. Well, so I'll start at 2 now. It says, and his concubine played the whore against him and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months. So she went off, man. She went off. She did what what Dinah did, really. She went out. She kind of did her own thing. Like it says in was it Sirach? Don't live, give her no liberty to
Right.
gather abroad. You know what I'm saying? That's what she did. She gathered abroad. She played the harlot, innit? And then the deepest thing is, she actually went back to her father's house. So she played the whore and then went back home to her father. That's remember though, man, when it says about obviously, that's a shame. The father's name is shamed in her act. You see what I'm saying? You know, and what's it? Verse 3 it says, and her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her and to bring her again, having his servant with him and a couple of asses, and she brought him into her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him. So this is another sort of example of that simp spirit. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to, imply anything here, but that I don't want to know spirit. This is what this Levite is coming in. Like he knows she's played the harlot, but obviously, he's gone out of his wits for her. He wants her back. He went and spake friendly unto her as well. Not even like, do you know what I'm saying? Probably saying, look, whatever you've done, it doesn't matter. We can start again. Like, listen, that's the spirit that this guy was coming in, man. But you got it still. If you want to carry on in that chapter still, you know. But yeah, you got it.
Okay. Um, and even that, like,
But
point of the concubines, right? Um, why even the king, he wouldn't lay with them, right? Um, you had that in 2 Samuel 17, right, 16, right, where Absalom, he was gonna take his father's concubines and lay down with them. Right, look, so this is you wouldn't do that, because really concubines obviously they're with your own, but it doesn't mean now you're trying to pile up the you know, right? You piling it up, right? 2 Samuel 16 and 21, and Ahithophel, and he was like a counselor, I believe, said unto Absalom, Go in unto thy father's concubines, which he have left to keep the house, and all Israel shall hear that thou art abroad of thy father. Then shall the hands of all that are with thee be strong. So, right, that's 22. So they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house, and Absalom went into his father's concubines, and the sight of all Israel. You see that? So he right. Let's just go into that, right. What did it mean if a man took the king's concubines, right? And really, kind of like he's the new, he's taken over basically, right? So it says a man was laying claim to the throne, usurping royal authority, and publicly declaring himself the new ruler, right? So that's what taking a man's concubines would have been. You took someone to be, let's say, you can't touch. It's not yours, man, because David, even when he came back into the city, he left these concubines. He kind of left them, right? Didn't okay? Hold on, let me. I have to take them back now, right? He kind of, because again, that's a concubine. A concubine would have been a lesser wife, right? So,
And a quick point as well. That's the same thing you see in the jungle and with the lion as well. See when the lion takes over the pride, yeah, and he wars with the king or whatever, whoever's the pride leader. Once that lion wins, or the multiple lions win, that's it, man. All the lionesses are for the taking, man. They kill the sons. You know what I'm saying? And then they start laying with the former lions or the lionesses. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you got it.
and that, yeah, that's it. Literally, that's the spirit that even the beast. Job 12 and 6. It tells you that even the beast. I believe it is. Look at them and you see what they do. It's the same thing.
Mm.
Right? This is 2 Samuel 20 verse 3. It says, And David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 women, his concubines, whom he had left to keep the house, and put them inward and fed them, but went not in unto them. So they were shut up unto the day of their death, living in widowhood. So he didn't touch them. Oh, okay, I'm gonna get it back. I'm gonna. That's like Jeremiah 3. Alright?
Mm.
Oh, I'm gonna get it back. And he kept it moving. Because you don't want you racking them up. Right? Now with houses, it's all out of order. Right? You just winging it at this point, man. So it's that's just madness. Right? That's complete folly. That's complete madness. Right? So let's go to. Alright, so brother brought out some precepts. Alright, let's go to Exodus. Alright. 20, classic one. Alright. Exodus 20 verse 14. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Adultery with another, a woman that's married to brother Gad, she goes to brother Judah. Right? And again, there's nothing that puts them asunder apart from that fornication that they commit. Right? This is verse 17. And really that comes from that envy, that evil eye to do something like that. Proverbs is going to be my next precept, but Exodus 20 and 17. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Right? Nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. So you don't want to, you just staring at a brother's wife. Oh wow, look at you getting off, right? Or even you find some kind of way to jinnles your way out of a predicament that you put yourself in, right? You can't just go somewhere else and give yourself a new name. It's like if I was to move, maybe let's say, I, you know, let's we'll read this. This is Proverbs chapters here, 6 and 24. It says to keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. So straight up, man, an adulteress, a woman, a wicked, evil woman. Oh, where's the next damn? Where's she's going rod to rod, man? Right, literally rod wave. Right, trying to find the next person, the next righteous man. Right, you can't move city, move congregation or whatever, and then just okay, well, your name is gonna be completely tarnished. You know, that's an evil and sinful act to commit. Right, you're looking for that precious life. Oh, where's the next brother? I wouldn't go over there. But you've been spending your time fornicating, enjoying the lust of the flesh, right? And then now one thing goes bad, and now okay, now we're not married, right? That's contradiction. That's sin. That's evil. That's wicked. It's Proverbs 6 and 32. But whosoever committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding, and he that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. So
Mm.
you doing that, your mind is just off, right? You know, and that's men as well. Man, okay, well, you know, where's the aqua, right? Where's all the aqua? You're getting dinners in the DMs by some fake bot account asking you to send, hey, Ark, I need $20. Can you please send me, $20? And they talk to you smoothly until your simpleton of a self gets caught with that much fair speech, right? This is Proverbs 7 verse 21. It says, with her, it's like with her much fair speech, she caused him to yield. With the flattering of her lips, she forced him. So you're getting caught with the flattery of her lips, right? So that's off. That's wicked. That's evil, right? That's just off. And the Most High said in Deuteronomy 23, and there shall be no whore, right? This is Deuteronomy 23, verse 17. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor sodomite of the sons of Israel. Some kind of a homosexual, right? Or some lesbian or someone you just going from place to place. You're changing your name. You're changing your Hebrew name. You was, I don't know, you was sister, I don't know, man. Was sister, right? Sister Tabitha, and you change your name. You go to Scotland now. You change your name. Now you're no longer Sister Tabitha. Your sister Sarah. Right? You can't just change name and then your slate's all wiped clean. Hey, right? This is Ecclesiastes. The Most High is gonna bring that into, and that's why you gotta remain faithful, right? I get two precepts when I pass it. Right? It's Ecclesiastes. So marriage is not some light thing. It's why who you lay down with, hey, that's you. That's you for the rest. And again, that's why, you know, really the scriptures really is aimed at the men, right? But the women is still for the women, yes, but that's why it's Bani and Sha'ala, sons of Israel, really men, right? The men of Israel, right? Because a man is the one supposed to lead in it. A man, he's the one supposed to lead. A woman, hey, you're supposed to follow suit. And it doesn't have to be your husband, right? You might not have a husband. You might have a brother or someone that he's like, I don't know, like Priscilla and Aquila, but just unmarried, that this brother, you both join the congregation together, and praise to the Most High, right? You don't want to have that kind of spirit. Oh well, I didn't know. Hey, well you know now, so you're still gonna be held to. Like, imagine me. I just said now, I don't want to be in my rib anymore. Hey, brothers better say you're going off. Brothers tell me, I say to brothers, hey man, I'm not really my rib. She kind of burnt. She kind of burnt the chicken, or I don't know, I don't like it anymore. That's the most effeminate thing any man in this truth can do. Oh, I don't like her. And if you go back to your woman and she's committed adultery, that's just as worse. Right? It's just Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. And that's a sin. That's a sin. That's a sin. Right? It doesn't matter, okay, what you got going on. You know, that's keep the law. That's your faith, no? Right? No matter what it is, I keep the law. Right? Integrity, morals, right? And faith. It's Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. It says, now see the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For Yahweh shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or bad, good or whether it be evil. So and that's why, and I'll give my one more precept and I'll pass. That's why you can't just, like it says, man, there's a great precept, Sirach 26, maybe a little bit, I'll get it after. It says that, she's going to many, she will open herself to many quivers.
Quiver, yeah, open a quiver to many arrows.
Right. Can't open yourself to many quivers, man. Right? You know what people maybe go off and they do, but when you come into and again, you're still going to be held accountable to those things. Like I said, whether it be good or evil. Yeah, you repented. Maybe now you got a wife, you got whatever. Some people, they might have women that they were with before in the truth. They're no longer with those women, maybe due to, the not having the knowledge of the truth. We're still going to be held to that. So why would you say, okay, well, like you're trying to find, you can't, there's no undoing what the Most High has put together. The person you're with, you're supposed to be with. Right now, especially if you're in this truth, the person that you're with, you are supposed to be with, man. Right? Sex is marriage, man. So that's one of the factors of marriage. And we can get into the amendment of the, in Tobit. Right? That's just the extra. Right? Adam and Eve, where's their instrument of covenant? Oh, yeah, they definitely done it, but it's not there. And they didn't have rings either. So if you're trying to implement, again, like, you might get you might give your woman, like, again, you have your wedding ceremony, right? You might buy your woman a gift. Could be, you don't have to get a ring for yourself. You might, get a ring for your woman, and that, again, this is not associating with that wedding. That's the point. Really in the ancient world, they would have given maybe earrings or like a nose ring,
Armbands.
Gifts to the parents, family, these things. They didn't say hold on, and they bowed down and they said, oh, and you were with me through times, and and you're the love of my life. Hey, it's a transaction going on. We don't have time to hear all this. Oh, and you're sweet and I love you. Hey, yeah, you would. Yeah, obviously, you might have loved the woman, right? You might have laid down with a woman. You're not accountable to that, but you can't just remix it, right? And say, okay, now man's got to bow down. Where? Show me the Bible verse where a man bowed down to his woman, right? In the scriptures, and then they got married and they gave her a ring. There's no account of that. So I'll give my last piece of and I'll pass on to you, right? For now, this is Revelation 3 verse 2. So it says, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found their works perfect before Yahweh. So, Most High is going to bring your works into judgment, right? Whether they're good or evil, the secret things. Imagine having a mindset where you're willfully saying, I'm going to go commit adultery. I'm going to commit fornication. That's a demon. And that's not of the spirit, that's the spirit of error. It's not the Holy Spirit. I'm in the truth. I'm in the truth. That's not the truth. That's not the truth, right? But you got it.
Yeah, Khan, and yeah, like we've gone into about the covenant, it is definitely a covenant when the two become one, basically. Can I want to go Deuteronomy 22 and verse 13? Yeah, Deuteronomy 22 and verse 13. It says, "If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her, and given occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid." So this is again the times where guys felt like they could just put away their wife for anything. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't, something he didn't like. He's talking evil of her. He hates her. Verse and he said, I found her not a maid. Yeah. Verse 15, it says, Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city of the gate. Yeah, so the tokens of the damsel's virginity would be like the bed sheets, you know because obviously that would be the covenant. That's a blood covenant there. When a maid would lie down for the first time. You know what I'm saying? And they even do that still today. Amalek and these certain Turkish and that they actually do that still today. I see a video one time. I think brother Yaradan from Detroit. He has to put one video up, and then, you had the pair like they're having a party in that. They're having actually a party, and the parents are coming out all dancing with the blood sheets. Because obviously it was to prove that your daughter was actually a virgin, a maid. You know, and that's a token there. I'll read on. Well, no, yeah, let me get that. Do you want to read that?
Come. This is a token of the damsel's virginity referred to a blood-stained cloth or garment used in ancient Israelite law as physical evidence of a bride's virginity upon consummation of a marriage, as
Mm,
described in Deuteronomy 22 and 13. Parents would keep and present blood-stained bed sheets or cloth to the city elders at the gate if newly wed husbands falsely accused his wife of not being a virgin.
mm. So that's what it's going into here, and you can go to the verse 16. So verse 16 it says, "And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hateth her." Verse 17, "And lo, he have given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity, and they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city." Like it just said there, man. That was the proof. That was the actual proof, the covenant. Like even like in Tobit it says about the writing, the contract. They writ it in a contract. This was the physical contract, the consummation of the actual marriage. You know, and if I can get now, First Corinthians chapter 7, First Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 1. Start 1. It says, "Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman." So even still, like this is quite deep, because you don't want to be a guy just going around touching women. Like just you know patting them on the back, and like going hugging them and all that. You don't know whether they're unclean. You don't know, whether they're somebody's wife. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. You know, you know that film. What's it? You seen Lucy? Seen Lucy?
I think so.
Yeah, where she oh yeah, well, basically, you know, you touch someone, and now all their spirits are on you. You know what
Shit.
I'm saying? Like, well, you know what I'm saying? You start getting the whole breakdown of their whole demons and that. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, that's spiritual as well. So verse 2 as well says, nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. So to avoid fornication, it's good for a man to have to have a wife, and a woman to have a husband. You know, because then that way, you know, like it says, that precept where it says a man will just wander up and down. You
Mm.
know, just you know what I'm saying. Man who's not married will just wander up and down looking for anything. You know what I'm saying. Verse three, verse um, verse 3, it says, "Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband." Like the brother was bringing out earlier, like you know, you can't kind of got to come together at times. You know, you can't defraud yourself of the due benevolence.
Right.
If do you want to look that word up quickly, Bob Kushar? Just but yeah, due benevolence, Bob Kushar. So due benevolence, it says, is a biblical phrase from King James. It means marital duty, conjugal rights, and sexual affection owed between a husband and wife. Exactly. So you don't want to be like, you know, man and wife, and then you know you don't even hug each other, you don't kiss each other. You know what I mean? That's like these Edomites, man. Now you're all 60 years old, been living been living living in the house. You've been living on in this house for 28 years or 27 years, and now you've got your own room. You know,
Oh.
you're in one room, he's in one room. You know what I'm saying? Like it's off. That's not the spirit. You know, that's not due benevolence, man.
Right.
You know, like you have to. There is a time to come together. You know, you can't defraud yourself of that. You know what I'm saying? Like it says, like defraud yourself not of a good day. Like you know, that's like the bro brought in Wisdom of Solomon 7, and I think it was it 1 or 3, 1 or 2, something like that. It's like you know, that's the pleasures that come with sleep. You
Right.
know, so you can't defraud yourself of that. You have to come together. Like you know. Now, if you can skip to verse 10, Bob Kushar, this is
Yeah.
the point. This
Yeah.
is the point. So, First Corinthians 7 and verse 10, it says, "And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord." Now, this is Paul saying, I don't command this, the Lord commands this. Yeah. It says, "Let not the wife depart from the husband, from her husband." That's plain. Yeah. So verse 11 it says, "And but if it's like a but and if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife." So go on, you gonna say something?
Just quick, yeah. Because
Go on.
people say that this is saying that you can leave her, or there's another verse in it in the same chapter. They say that
Yeah,
she can leave her, but it's going into cohabitation and the
yeah.
laws of. Yeah, you got it
No,
exactly.
no, no. You go ahead. You go ahead. You go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, literally, like you're saying, it's going into cohabitation because you would have lived with your wife, you would have left your parents, and you lived with your wife. Maybe you had a disagreement, whatever situation it is, and you'd separate. You're not divorced her, but you would
Mm.
separate. Right, so she's staying at her parents' house, you're staying at wherever, until you can reconcile. You know, you got it.
Yeah, calm. Because like it says, but and if she depart, let her remain unmarried. So or be reconciled to her husband. So you know, like there's no putting away here. It's
Right.
like you know what I'm saying. Like the only way. the only way forward in this scenario really is to be reconciled back to her husband, because remember, like it says in Romans 7, she's bound by the law till death do us part. You know what I'm saying? So verse 12, it says, but to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother have a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. But even now, like going into like, a sister that might not be in the truth, and the brothers, already, made her his wife, then, he shouldn't be putting her away either, really.
Right.
Because he's, like you said, he's done the deed. He has to have accountability in that, So it's very important, man. Very important. Like it's this whole topic, because what the main thing about this is, if a woman thinks that she can just go and she believes that she's not married anymore when she was married, and he is still actually alive, then and she goes with someone else, she'll be causing another man to commit adultery.
Right.
That's what the scriptures say. You know what I'm saying? And I'm yet to see anything different. You know what I'm saying? But you got it, King.
Right. And even in the same verse, I'm gonna jump down and I'm gonna show you how, well, those are watching, right? Even this verse, another verse. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. So a person that don't believe, because in those two previous verses it says, for the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the believing wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now they are clean, but now they are holy and set apart. So, if the person who doesn't want them to believe, let them depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, but you have called us unto peace. Meaning, again, this is still going into cohabitation, right? You're not gonna force somebody to stay with you like some damn hostage situation, because why would Paul say all of that and then now he's saying, okay, now he says this though. He says the same thing. So this is out of the mouth of two or three witnesses. 1 Corinthians 7:39, the wife is bound by the law as long as her husband liveth, but if her husband be dead, she is at liberty to be married to whom she will, only in the Lord. So she,
Right.
say her husband dies, like Ruth, man, right? And even when you go into Ruth, actually, quickly touch on it, you know, um, there's certain things you just have to have discernment about that you just wouldn't do, right? So this is Ruth 3 and verse 8, right? So this is Ruth 3 and verse 8, and she was a heathen, right? Ruth 3 and 7. When Boaz had eaten and drunk, his heart was merry, because that's what wine does to you. He went to lie down at the end of the heap of corn, and she came softly and uncovered his feet and laid her down. And it came to pass at midnight that the man was afraid and turned to himself, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. And he said, Who art thou? She answered, I am Ruth, thine handmaid. Spread therefore thy skirt over thine handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman. Because a near kinsman would take the woman that wouldn't have had any children, right? And he said, Blessed be thou of the Lord, my daughter, for thou hast shown more kindness in the latter end than at the beginning, in as much as thou followest not young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, fear not, I will do to thee all that thou request, for all the city of my people doeth know that thou art a virtuous woman. Right, so she was still a virtuous woman, right? But even when the whole point of this, right, really was abstaining the appearance of all evil, right? So, like it says, certain things you wouldn't want to be. Imagine you just seeing, you're seeing with some brother's wife at some strange time of night. That's a weird sight, right? You kind of leave and you kind of, I don't know, maybe you got a night shift. You kind of see, bro, you kind of cool. Hey, slap your up. Your wife, where's your wife? Oh, yeah, she just at her auntie's. Oh, you sure? Yeah, count, yeah. Hey, just seen her come out of the cinema. They just watched Spider-Man 3. I was kind of, I watched it as well, but I seen it with some another guy, right? This is First Thessalonians 5:22. Abstain from all appearance of evil. So there's certain things that just straight off the bat they look off, So Paul's not contradicting himself. He's saying, okay, yeah, she can depart, but then he's saying she's still bound. This that it's obviously not in the same. It's not the same thing. It's obviously going into cohabitation. You know, she's called unto peace, right? And um, let's go to God. You know, so and again, right? Sex is marriage, right? Sex is marriage, right? But again, we always say, right? You speak to the best thing you want to do is speak to somebody that is a fatherly figure for that woman, man, right? So let's go to as well another account. Someone might say, okay, well maybe she, hey, it doesn't this account, it doesn't even allude to what somebody could use it for, right? So this is 2 Samuel 14:3 and 14. And David sent messengers unto Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, deliver me my wife, my cow. Because remember Saul, right? He's going off, man, right? I believe he gave my cow to somebody else, which I espoused to me for 100 foreskins of the Philistines. So that oath, right, that marriage that was made. It says in verse 15, and Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband, even from Paltiel, the son of Laish, verse 16. And her husband went with her along, weeping behind her, to Baharim, and said to Abner, go return, and he returned. So, right, literally at that point, right, it was really in the hands of a father, right? Well, Salakia, firstly, David never divorced my cow, right? There was no bill of divorce. I said, oh, hold on, I forgot, but he never done that, right? So essentially, she was taken from him against his will, right? So there's no, okay, maybe and the account doesn't say anything that she laid down they laid down, my cow and the other man in verse or Patiel, brother. Doesn't say that. There's no account of their marriage being consummated, right? So obviously that was termed as a husband, but it doesn't say if she was betrothed or actually married, right? And so she was forcibly taken from her husband, So again, like going into the laws, let's get that as well, right? Some people can, they might use scriptures and they twang it. Oh, they do this and they do that, right? This is Deuteronomy 22:25. But if a man, right, so again, it says if a man, but if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, and then the man only that lay with her shall die. So pointedly kind of showing in terms of this account really, but obviously he wasn't put to death because there's no account of them actually him forcing her and lying with her, right? Otherwise he would have been put to death. That would have been a sin that he's committed. So you can't try and use this verse and then okay, well, you just because anyone could do that, man, right? To our own destruction. And now, rather than building up a nation, we're building up people that are. That's off, man. That's the whole point of First Corinthians, right? Going back to it, right? That's the whole point, literally, of First Corinthians 5. And just to point out, when it says own is just exclusive, right? It doesn't mean about, well, in the wife's case, she's exclusive to her husband, right? Own doesn't just mean, it's not associated with having one, right? Paul had many sons in the faith, right? So obviously, and a woman, we know it's not contradicting the law, because Paul, a man of the law, a Pharisee, he knows what he's saying, right? But look, First Corinthians 5 and verse 1. It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as is not so named amongst the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife. So that's fornication. This is a form. Adultery is a form of fornication, and that's not what. That's wicked and evil. That's that's just you're willfully doing something like that. Most High is gonna jam you up. Most High is gonna bring that into light, and again, you're hindering and putting a blemish on the garment of the comely and delicate woman that our nation is trying to grow to be.
Mm.
Right? So, you know, you, right, again, again, we trying to raise a nation of, right, righteousness. And you have certain blocks in the building that hinder the rebirth of the people, man. Right? This is Wisdom of Solomon 14, and I'll start from verse 22. Moreover, this was not enough for them. You see that? This was not enough for them. They don't want to strengthen the things that remain. They want to work on their marriage. They don't want to endure. Because, hey, man, Salakia, right? Look at this account, man. Right? So there's really no excuse. There's really no excuse when it comes down to that whole spirit. Because it wasn't a vow. Right? She remained faithful to her husband. And look how the Most High blessed her. Right? Read about the vow in 1 Samuel 20, and I believe what's this? Verse, is this one? Right, 1 Samuel 21 maybe, right? 1 Samuel, is it? Let me see. Lord, when I get it. Right, you had Nabal. If she remained faithful to her husband, she said, "Oh well, he's off. He's off, and I don't like him." Right. This is 1 Samuel 25 and 3. Now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name, so like, yeah, Nabal was the husband, and the name of the wife Abigail. Abigail wasn't. What's David and oh, right, and she damn lost all composure, knowing she got a husband at home. Right? David might have been kind of, maybe she, in the movies, man, David, he's walking, right? Maybe David, we don't know, maybe he had an afro, right? Maybe he had a, like a, not to say, he had he had a skin fade, right? But hey, David, he must have been comely in it, right? From a woman's perspective, walking in slow mo. You see in the movies, he's walking in slow motion, the light beaming on his face. He's looking ruddy. He's going through the fields. The mighty men behind him, right? The priest, Abiathar, right? They're walking in slow motion. Oh, and Abigail said, "Oh, David," right? That's evil, right? She didn't have that spirit. So hold on. Now she's saying, "Oh, David's coming," and she's trying to prepare herself. And the bar's just like, grinding his teeth and that. Right? So it says, and she was a woman of good understanding and of a beautiful countenance, but the man was churlish and evil in his doing, and he was of the house of Caleb. So I believe he would have been a Judite. Right? Going back to, the time of Joshua. right? And I'll read down. So Nabal, he kind of like, who the hell is David, basically? David said peace to him, right? Nabal kind of said, look, right? Nabal, this was definitely, he was just a nigger.
Mm.
That's what it was, man. Right?
Tempting.
Yeah, right? So this is verse 10. And Nabal answered David's servants and said, who is David? And who was the son of Jesse? He's like, it's like Jake today. Who are you, man? Right? And who's your dad? I don't know him. Right? There be many servants nowadays. That's a Jake. See, that's a Jake, man. Right? Nowadays. Right? That break away every man from his master. Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my shears and give it unto men whom I know not whence they be? He says, I don't even know where you come from. Oh, what the hell? You ain't worth this. I don't know who you are. I don't know your dad either. Alright? And, so hey, maybe Abishai, maybe Joab, they kind of say, hey, man. Right? They were going to murk him there and then. But his woman, she came and she kind of appeased the king. Right? See that? So they were gonna lean on him. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, behold, David's messengers, and she kind of expounded. I'm gonna jump down to the point, because she came and appeased the king. And point is, he died. Right? He died when you read this account. Right? Look at this. And David took her to wife. But did he take David? Because I'm the king, and he took her there and then. And we know David committed adultery. That was a sin. This woman didn't commit adultery, and she had a wicked husband. Right? So look, this is 1 Samuel 25. And I'll start from look at this, verse 37. But it came to pass in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became a stone. And it came to pass about 10 days after, that the Lord smote Nabal, that he died. You see that? And I'm gonna read 39. And when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, blessed be the Lord, that have pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and have kept his servant from evil, for the Lord have returned wickedness upon Nabal, upon his own head. And David sent and communed with Abigail to take her to him to wife. Because what? If the husband dies, and it's not talking about spiritually at all, this is a literal death. Right? Literal dead. That's when, okay, the woman, but it says she has to marry who? The guy that's in the truth.
In the Lord, yeah.
She's gonna marry some nigga that walks around. Hey yo, miss, well you're not Israelite thing, yeah? Oh, say no more, say no more. Yeah, no, I'm not righteous thing too, like obviously, like, a bit here and there, but you know what it is.
And I'm spiritual.
Yeah, spiritual, and they do this, right? And they say, yeah, shalom, akwath, right? Most times, the Lord's not dealing with that, right? So a woman can remarry if her husband be dead. You can't just say, okay, well, now you want the truth. Well, just off. Oh, you know the truth. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm reading here. Right? I'll get two more and I'll pass it, right? Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 22. Moreover, this was not enough for them. Some people, this is just the lust, really. That they erred in the knowledge of Yahweh, but whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace. Right? For whilst they slew their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites. See that now? I'm trying to open the bin. Madness. Right? Salakia. Going off right now. Right? Or used strange ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites. It says, verse 24, They neither, they neither, verse 24, they kept neither alive nor married. See that? Nor marriages any longer undefiled, but either one slew another treacherously, or grieved him by adultery. So adultery that can grieve you in your heart, right? Reading on, it says, verse 25, so that there reigned in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, theft, dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumult, perjury. So having that spirit of, okay, well, I'm not married, right? You're bound by the law, you know, accept your husband be dead. I'm not just saying sex is the only way of marriage, right? You know, and there's no law that says you have to have the instrument of covenant. Read like the brother was going to in Deuteronomy 20, was that Deuteronomy 22 you pulled
Yeah,
about the instrument of covenant, Khan?
yeah.
Right.
Can't.
The instrument of covenant, where's the one that Isaac had? Where's Isaac's instrument of covenant? Where's Adam's instrument of covenant? Where's Jacob's instrument of, where's see that? Where's their instrument of covenant? Show that in the book chapter verse. You're not gonna find it. You're not gonna find that. But the instrument of covenant really is an extra. We go by the laws of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And again, obviously there are privileges to, the laws of the land when it comes to that, for maybe safety reasons or things of that nature. But you really want to have your wedding, and you can. There's nothing wrong with a ceremony. People are, it's off, it's off. Hey, have a ceremony, right? That's a beautiful thing. Christ went to a wedding, man. Right? A wedding is a beautiful, a union. Holy. Right? But like it says here, where did Adam have the instrument of covenant? They wrote on some chiseled rock, screeching, and they say, "Oh yeah, Adam, Eve," and writing the name on the wood or whatever, or some stone, right? And you have some bug out say, "Okay, yeah, I know where the stone is. I know where the stone is." Right? This is Tobit 7:14, and called Edna his wife, and took paper. See that? So, what paper were they writing on in time of Adam? Right? And did write an instrument of covenant and sealed it. So this is the instrument of covenant is an amendment, right? Amendment, right? It says an addition. It's an addition. It's not a change. It's not a formal change or a correction. It's an addition made to a text, law, or contract or constitution, right? So, and like it says, obviously in this man's society, you can't update the wedding. What you put down. They say, hold on, trying to change 2 years down the line. They trying to change it, trying to scratch out her name, right? So
What's
it's
the
obviously,
prenup? To scratch out the prenup.
yeah. See that? She kind of looking down, trying to get that down, them rubbers in that in primary school, right? You know when you're using a rubber and it's down, the skin is you might as well start a fire, right? So the covenant here, the instrument of covenant really is an extra. Obviously, if you again, you have to have that discernment to decide how you go about that. And no rings. There's no rings, right? I'll end on this right. Rings. Did Israelites use rings for weddings? The answer is no. Right? The practice is a development for the medieval era. Right? So look, see? So while rings such as signets or nose rings existed as jewelry or symbols of high admission, they were not part of the marriage rite.
Mm.
Not part of the marriage rite. So it was adopted into Israelite law. Right? This is much, much later on. Right? And really, they believed it was a pagan thing. Right? we'll kind of show that, and then now you got it. So the see that the as the practice originated with pagan cultures, but you got Eve. Oh, I want my husband. If he doesn't bow down for me, right? A conversation with Eve. She said, "Oh, if he, my husband doesn't bow down for me," I said, "I ain't never doing that. I ain't never doing no bowing down to my woman to give her a ring, man. Only time I'm bowing down, right, is really to catch that baby flying out, right." Right? There's no account of that, you know. There's no account of that. Really, this was a transaction. This wasn't okay. Yeah, your back's hurting. Oh, you trying to pretend. Oh, you gonna fall down. You doing that? That wasn't it. And now they would look like, yeah, what the hell is this guy doing? This guy's a fool. He's a simpleton, right? So it was originated with pagan cultures like the ancient Romans, and was only adopted into later Jewish traditions. So there's no Bible mention, zero. But look, the use of rings to mark betrothal or contract traced back to Roman and Greek traditions, where rings symbolized a pledge or property or dowry security. See that? Alright, so that's linked to pagan stuff. But you got it, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, like it says there, late in the 7th century is when they started. The Jewish started adopting it and that. But yeah, again, like there's no such thing as a ring. Like obviously in biblical times, it would have been more like, bangles and like, but they were just gifts. They were gifts part of the wedding. That's what the Ishmaelites do that today, man. I'm sure there's some whole thing like where everyone just has to give them bare money in that.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how it works. I'm not trying to be ignorant to it. It's still I can't stand them, but I know it's either the woman or the men. Go on.
Yeah, so we got these Ishmaelites at my work, and they'll tell me like, or Elam as well. They'll say that the woman can basically decide how much she wants to get.
So it's
Yeah,
the woman, she gets everything then.
basically.
Yeah, yeah. See, and then the man has to pay up, man. Families have to pay up. We're talking about envelopes with pinkies in it, straight cash as well, no card. It's
See
how
that?
these sort of go
Klarna,
down.
Klarna,
Literally pulling up in flipping Ferraris and Lambos, like rented out and that. It's madness, man. And again, another go on,
And now you try to tell the dad, oh, can I Klarna this one? Can I Klarna this one?
bro. Klarna, free payments to the madness.
Yeah, paying free.
Yeah, madness. But again, like with the rings as well, it's like you have Beyonce. If you like it, you put a ring on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like everything that we see in the Bible, and all the the accounts that we see, the righteous accounts and the accounts on the left side, is all playing out today. It's relevant today. You know what I'm saying? Just because these, like the tokens of virginity, and like what the brother brought out in Tobit about the covenant and the writing and that, they still do that today. You know what I'm saying? They still do that today. Certain we don't do it though. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? Because they've stolen our whole blueprint, our whole breakdown. You know what I'm saying? Mad. Can you get me First Timothy chapter 5, and then I'll start at 3. First Timothy 5 and verse 3. It reads, "Honor widows that are widows indeed." Yeah. "But if any widow have children or nephews, let them learn first to show piety at home and to requite their parents, for that is good and acceptable before the Most High." So yeah, even when a woman does become a widow, she she's honorable still too, because she hasn't actually committed anything. You know what I'm saying? She ain't committed fornication. Her husband has died. She's a widow. You know, she got children. You know, she'll return home. She'll look after the children. You know what I mean? This is pleasing. This it says and acceptable before the Most High. The Most High is pleased with this. Verse 5, it says, "Now she that is a widow indeed and desolate trusteth in God and continueth in supplications and prayers night and day." But when I read this, I'm thinking of like, Judith, because Judith was a widow, man. Her husband, I think is Manasseh.
Come
Manasseh. Yeah, he left her everything, man. He left her gold, jewelry, like gold, silver, cattle, all of that. Let me get that anyway. Let me get that. So this is Judith
16.
chapter 8. Judith chapter 8, and I'll start at 4. Judith chapter 8 and verse 4. It says, "So Judith was a widow in her house 3 years and 4 months, and she made her a tent upon the top of her house, and put on sackcloth on her loins, and wear her widow's apparel." Yeah, verse 6. "And she fasted all the days of her widowhood, save the era of the Sabbath, save the eves of the Sabbath, and the Sabbaths, and the eves of the new moons, and the new moons, and the feasts, and the solemn days of the house of Israel." So yeah, man, she was in the spirit. You know, Judith was in the spirit, even though she was a widow. I believe later on in the book as well, she chose not to marry again. You know what I'm saying? Even though like men were, I won't say like lining up, but you know what I'm saying. She was very beautiful and fair to look upon, and she was a righteous daughter of Zion. Gone.
Judith 16 and 22. And many desired her, but
That's it.
none knew her all the days of her life. After that, Manasseh, her husband, was dead and was gathered to his people.
Man. So she was very righteous, man. And she could as well. That wasn't to say that she couldn't go and marry again, but she was so devoted to her husband. When he died, all of that she put into the Most High. She
Mm.
fasted all the days of her life, except for the Sabbaths, the Eves. You know what I'm saying? The prep days, the feast days. You know what I'm saying? That's a righteous spirit there, man. Very righteous spirit. I'm gonna go back to 1 Timothy 5 and verse 7. Baba Kashar. 1 Timothy 5 and verse 7.
Yeah,
It
still like it.
says,
Should be
God,
6. 6.
5 and verse 6. Salaki, yeah. It says, "But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth."
Mm.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? When you're living that pleasure in pleasure, do you know what I'm saying? You're gonna forget the things that are more important to you.
City
Like
girls.
it's like, yeah,
City girls.
yeah, like it says in Hebrews 11, how Moses, he chose to suffer his people than to you know. Let me
Rejoice.
get that. Let me get that. So like, yeah, don't wanna butcher it. It's 11 and uh, yeah, that's it. Can't the water. Hebrews 11:23 says, "By faith Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents, because they saw he was a proper child, and they not afraid of the king's commandment." It says, "By faith Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of the Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season."
Mm.
No, so yeah, man, that those pleasures, what I'm saying, those pleasures can get you caught out here, man. Serious, because all the pleasure that you might, like it said in Solomon was in Solomon again about the pleasure that comes with sleep. You could, if you don't use that in moderation with your spouse, whether it be whoever, man or woman, woman man, you could get caught out on there, man. That could become a stumbling block to your walk in this truth and your walk towards Yahweh Shemel Shai. You know. So yeah, we go back to verse 7. First Timothy 5 and verse 7, it says, "And these things give in charge that they may be blameless." And that's another thing that we're striving to be blameless, because a widow here that is talking about, she's not gonna be you know looked at or had anything or have a reproach on her name, because she actually is doing the things that she's supposed to be doing, like. And in verse 8 it says, "But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he have denied the faith and is worse than an infidel." So yeah, this is for the men now. You know what I'm saying? If you're not providing for your wife, because like it says, if a man take another wife, her food, her raiment, and her what's it? Was it food, raiment, and
Duty of marriage, I think.
duty of that's it? Duty of marriage shall he not diminish. And that duty of marriage is the due benevolence, you know, and just the cheering up, That's that's how you put it. The cheering up in that first year, you know. And I wanted to get another one as well, Baba Kushar. This is so yeah, provide not for his own household, and we see the examples. Like let's get a couple of examples of like a husband, a righteous husband. So this is Genesis 18 and verse 18. So like yeah, Genesis 18 and verse 18. And it reads, "Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahweh to do justice and judgment, and that Yahweh may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken." So here you see Abraham, commanding his household, man, you know, and providing for his household, because that's what a husband's supposed to do, provide for his household. I'll get one more as well. This is the Genesis 30 and verse 27. Genesis 30 and verse 27. And it reads, "And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, if I have found favor in thine eyes, tarry, for I have learned by experience that Yahweh have blessed me for thy sake." So Laban knew that when Jacob was under his roof, he was getting blessed. He was increasing in cattle. He was increasing in, crops and all sorts of, commodities, you would say, you know. And in verse 28 it says, "And he said, Appoint me thy wages, and I will give it. And he said unto him, Thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me." But Salakia, verse 30 now, verse 30, it says, "For it was little which thou hast before I came, and now it is increased unto a multitude." So even Jacob saying, look, he knows that because of me, you're up, innit? Like that. That's what Jacob said to Laban. Yeah, but carrying on, it says, "And Yahweh have blessed thee since my coming, and now when shall I provide for my own house also?" So he would, at these times when he was under Laban's house, he was under. Laban's rule, you would say, because that was his house. His daughter, he worked for his daughters. You know what I'm saying? So he's asking, look, you've been up since I've been here. Like you're up in it because of me. When can I provide for my household? You know what I'm saying? So that's Jacob now. And you don't want to be under another man's roof, really. Do you know what I'm saying? You want to bear rule in your own house, like it says in Genesis. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you got it, King.
I'll just get one more precept. And I kind of lost the precepts. I kind of lost where you were. So like, yeah.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I've just finished on this still anyway. But yeah, Genesis 30 and verse 20, no, 30 and verse 30. That's what it was. But yeah, basically, it was just, Jacob basically saying to Laban, like, look, when can I start providing for my own house now? Because he was under his roof at that time. You get it?
Come on, and I'll get one last one.
Yeah.
Right. This is Ezekiel. Like, and I was in First Kings 16, like 14, it tells you about how Solomon built the Lord's house and he finished it.
Mm.
You want to really, like you were saying about, you want to be with, you want to grow old with the person you're with, in it really. Going partner to partner, you just adding sin onto sin. Most I will get up with you, innit? For especially such a wicked sin like that, like adultery, right? Or even harboring, even like it's in James, Proverbs 20, and I think 9 or 10. Like even a thought like that is sin. Even James 4:17, if you know to do better, you don't do it. Yeah, that's sin. So that's something that's just lewd and just evil. Right? This is Ezekiel 16, verse 25. 5. It says, "Thou hast built," and this is really going into Israel. Israel is that comely and delicate woman. Ezekiel 16 and 25. "Thou hast built thy high place at every head of the way, and hast made thy beauty to be abhorred, and hast opened thy feet to everyone that passes by, and multiplied thy whoredoms." So in these last days, you don't be racking up your whoredoms. You're racking up evil. You're racking up, oh, I can leave this person because I feel like I can leave this person. And you're bound to that person, man. You know. You're bound to that person. Where you and your partner, right? Again, you might have been in the world, you had whatever, coming to this truth, again, I got one more, right? So like, I know I said one more, I got one more, and then we kind of wrap
All
it up,
crazy. All crazy.
right? We're good. Whether most I was gonna bring into account everything. You bring the truth. I didn't know. I didn't know sex was marriage. And again, we're not just saying just sex is the only thing. You might have kept yourself chaste. You're not with anyone. Whatever. You coming to the truth. That person you be with or you're gonna be with, that should be the last person. You might, let's say you come to somebody. I know some people, they've been celibate, like women, they've been celibate for like 5 years. You know, that was like, yeah, that's good. That's a good, you know, not that removes any accountability from before. Still gonna be, you're still gonna have that to your name. So it doesn't change that now. You lay down with someone and then everything starts going wrong, and then now you're jumping shit, man. And that's why men, you can't be emotional, man. I realize when it comes to dealing with your woman, you cannot be emotional. Your woman kind of gonna have that spirit of, you know, low willing. That's why you gotta subject your woman should be subject, and she herself, for sisters, you gotta be subject to the scriptures. Don't come with a carnal spirit, and you really gotta fight that spirit. And obviously for men, it's obviously men. We don't have a time of the month where we're off the rails,
Yeah,
or
emotional and
we
hormones are high. And,
right. And that's where it comes with denying your flesh. You're fasting. You're doing. You got to get into the scriptures, man. That's why idleness. If you're idle, it teaches much evil. All right. So, say you were married, didn't know. Hey, oh yeah, Leviticus 19:11. Just because that person, let's say you didn't say this was marriage or whatever, doesn't mean you're not married. That's one thing. That's madness. Oh, he didn't tell me. I didn't. He didn't. You have a Bible, man, right? You got a Bible. Pick up your Bible. You got the channels. You got the links. Go watch the links, man. Right? Certain congregations teach. Okay, yeah, well, you can go and you could go and just go and you go. Oh, he's not alive. He's in a congregation dead, and he's still alive. He has to be literally dead. Oh, this is I'm not saying James. This is Romans 2:11. And there's no iniquity with the Most High, let alone respect the persons. Right? This is Romans 2, verse 11. For there is no respect of persons with Yahweh. Alright? For as many for as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law, and as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. So ain't no escaping. Right? Most as there ain't no escaping. Even me, right? Us, we up here, right? We're breaking it down. Things we've done, most are gonna hold us to that as well. That's why he says bring fruit, meat for repentance. Oh well, I repented, but we haven't repented. If your mind is set on trying to go to open your quiver for another arrow and bring forth, like it says, when you read. Okay, I'll yield on this next one, innit? Right? Right? Verse 13. For not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified. So you want to be, and that's your faith. If you don't have faith, then of course you're going to just do what you please. And you're going to twist yourself in the midst of just, you're going to twist yourself in the scriptures, man. Alright? Let me see, man. Right. Because even 1.8 in when it came to things like that, man, to sorry, 23 or 43, 23 and 24. See that? They would have said, "Yo," they would have just. Yeah, I'll yield on this, man. Right. So for sisters, right, be where you gotta do. You gotta prove a friend, man. Sirach 6. Prove your friend. Don't just got some. I met him by the bookies, and he had, he was wearing bright yellow, and he was wearing his wallabies. Actually, no, I think they were Clarks, and you get swayed in your mind because he was wearing them Clarks, right? And he said, "Oh, wild grown popcorn," right? And he said, "Oh, where did you get them new Clarks?" Right? And you getting confounded because you saw you got Clarks on. Right, and maybe he got the exclusive with the red bottoms on it, which I've never seen, but you know. The point being, this is Sirach 23, verse 21. It says, "This man," and it even says when you read Sirach 25, it tells you about the things that the Most High hates and the Most High loves. A man and a woman that disagree, Most High don't really, that's not coming. So just because you're disagreeing at one point doesn't mean that that's the rest of your life done because you had a few disagreements. Maybe your brother, you commit sin or whatever. Doesn't mean now, okay, now you're, okay, well, I'm free to go. And work like that. Sirach 23, verse 1. This man shall be punished in the street of the city where he suspecteth not, he shall be taken. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting a new, hey, most out, jam you up, man. Right? You wondering, look what happened to Dinah. She was wondering. And then, hey, right? Verse 22, and that's what it says in Sirach 7. It says, if you have like a daughter or children, you bow their neck down from early. Right? Verse 22, thus shall it go also with the wife that leaveth her husband and bringeth in heir by another. Right? For first she hath disobeyed the law of the Most High. That's one. And secondly, she hath trespassed against her own husband. That's another sin. And thirdly, she hath played the whore in adultery and brought child by another man. That's wicked. Right? And what would they have done? People say, oh, why are you saying that? You shouldn't put that publicly out, and don't say, hey, hey, there's a WFI blacklist, right? There's a WFI blacklist, right? Or people that are, hey, this guy, he's this, right? Brother saying, why did you make a blacklist? That's not really the spirit arc. Yeah, it's always the person that does it. Now it's become an issue. Right? But you weren't thinking about the blacklist when you was doing God knows what. Sirach 23 and 24. She shall be brought out into the congregation, and inquisition shall be made of her child. See that? And look what it says about her children. Her children shall not take root, and her branches shall bring forth no fruit. See that? This is dark, man. She shall
Mm.
leave her memory to be cursed, and her reproach shall not be blotted out. So to commit, and this is just for the women. But again, you can apply this even like it says in Proverbs 6 and 30, that a man that commits adultery, the ex, because he's no longer the husband of that woman. He's not gonna say, okay, well, if you just give me $7,000, £7,000, €7,000, and I'll go. He ain't trying to hear that. He might come to the house, and he might do an OJ Simpson. He said, oh, why did he do that? Why did he? Well, right. Her approach is not going to be blotted out. Just like your name ain't going to be blotted out. And then what you walk in, oh, you remember, you see that sister? Yeah. Her, yeah, that's how it be. Oh, why is everyone talking about you? Because you was with Brother God. Now you're with, I don't know, right? The guy that calls himself Lion of Yahweh or something. Right? Verse 27. And they that remain shall know that there is nothing better than the fear of the Lord, and that there is nothing sweeter to take heed unto than to take heed unto the commandments of the Lord, man. So that's the best thing for you. Ain't nothing awkward. I wanna do something else. I wanna be someone else. You can't change what the Most High has ordained. Once you're married to someone, you lay down with them. That's that. That's the end all be all, man. So that's why the Most High, hey, you gotta, when it comes down to that whole act of marriage, man, you want to really, like the sister was saying in the previous, she just on a previous sister, hey, she said, legs closed, Bibles open, right? Legs closed, Bibles open, right? That's what it is. Legs closed, Bibles open. Brother saying, oh yeah, Salaki, sis. Got all the time for Salaki, sis. Go worry about your own kids, right? But but all praise to the Most High nonetheless, man. Right? But you got any last few points? Last point you want to make? Or say anything?
No, man. Just we obviously again like the main precept I'll take from this is Hebrews. The Hebrews 13 and 4. So marriage is honorable, man. So we have to how we honor the Most High and keep His commandments, and that's how we need to be in marriage with one another as well. You know what I mean?
All right.
So yeah,
And you got to strengthen. If your marriage is weak, you got to strengthen it. You got to read together. You study together. You make time to do that. Right? Oh no, I don't want to go into that breakdown. I don't want to read about that today. Well, you're having a spirit of destruction. So you want to, sisters, be very vigilant about who, and really it should be someone that's like amongst the congregation, because that brother already is holding himself to, accountability, because he's around other brothers that are on the same wavelength as him, you know. But all praise to the Most High, right? Lord willing, you're edified. Washing your shy. That we say, praise Yahweh Shalom. Comment, Shalom.
Shalom.